Hey, what's up, Sandy? We got Ollie with us.
Hi, everyone. Good to be
Hi,
back.
everybody. Yeah,
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Sandy.
No. Thank you for having us on, man. I mean, coming on, man. We really appreciate it. So, we're going to be talking about something super important when it comes to marketing, tracking results and measuring our marketing efforts, specifically also with the front office, right? Because how do we know the front office is doing it right with the tracking the results and, measuring everything? So, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is something I'm really interested in because, and I know the listeners and the members of our group will be interested in this as well, because if you think about it, a lot of practices are marketing, right? And we've talked about this before in our previous episodes with you, Ali. It's like if they don't know the score, it's really not a good thing, right? So I want you to talk today about, because I think everybody knows how important it is, about how you guys do that. Okay.
Sure. And like you said, they don't know the score. There has to be a scorekeeper, meaning usually someone internally, sometimes it's the doctor, sometimes it's the front office, sometimes it's the patient coordinator. Sometimes there is no one for that. And that's an issue that we find often is someone needs to internally be keeping track, whether that's someone that communicates with the marketing company, or if no one internally is going to be tracking that, it's really hard to just depend on the marketing company. Because I could come say your website got 20 leads this month, but what happened to John? What happened to Joe? What happened to Jane? Those are the things that matter. How many of those 20 leads booked an appointment? Out of those that booked, how many came in? So I was just talking to a doctor the other day, and his problem wasn't even converting him. He would get everyone scheduled, but his problem was getting him in after they were already scheduled. So I think.
Oh, you mean, wait, so they broke the appointment, like they got on the schedule and then they no-showed?
Exactly. And I asked about, deposits and late fees, and he brought up some sensitivity with insurances that he's accepting. And that's a deeper conversation. But even that is, let's say those patients do come in or they do show up, or the ones that don't, someone has to be tracking that. Where did this patient come from? They came in, they made us X amount of money. And that way you could tell. Some marketing companies have data that's associated with the dental practice software that somehow tells you, patient A is worth X amount in the ROI, which again, those companies you have to have. It's usually the larger packages with the metrics and the data that's tied into your practice management software, but just the easier, the simple, the basic way to do it is just internally every month have a meeting with whoever those key people are, whether it's you and yourself and the staff, and what happened this month, how many leads did we get, how many phone calls. So every time the phone rings, let's say the phone rings in a dental office and I have a toothache. Where is that recorded? Is that going in your database, in your CRM, in an Excel sheet, on a note, on a Post-it? And who's keeping track of that? And hi, how did you hear about us? I'll let you kind of fill in there, Sandy, and then we'll get back to some of the issues we see.
I'm working with clients all the time. Now I'm actually going in an office tomorrow where what I have them doing right now is keeping somebody calls. Okay. The person that answers the phone puts the date, gets the patient's name, their contact information. She writes down how they found out about the practice, what their main concerns were, and the questions that they asked, if they made an appointment, if a letter was sent to welcome them and who referred them letter, and if they showed up. So I just put it in my car to bring tomorrow, but it's just like I put it in a little folder, real easy, and then they can just track right there. And so that way the doctor sees, okay, and I'm also listening to the phone calls. So how do you feel about reporting those phone calls?
I mean, I feel like if the dentist has the time and is putting enough.
They have a consultant like me, because I'm literally like in the car or washing dishes and listening to all that. I love it. And so tonight, that's what I'm going to do because I'm doing training tomorrow. So I'm going to listen to calls for a couple of minutes.
If they have someone like you or someone internal or someone that's on top of it, they should have that. And it's easy to get a call tracking number. Sometimes the issue with call tracking is like your number on your site might be different than your Google number and your Yelp, and that inconsistency isn't good per se for search engine purposes. But it's more important to know if your staff is handling phone calls properly. So yes, if you have the person to listen and train them and see what the issue is, maybe if the whole issue is the person on the phone, like you're saying, or maybe they're not asking
Yeah.
where you
What I would do to that client that you were just talking about, like I would go back for every broken appointment and listen to the call. And I tell you, that's a real big eye opener, because whenever you're scheduling a new patient, if you're scheduling them too far out, that is one reason they no show. But you can also listen to these calls and you can tell the person in the practice didn't really connect with them. They either didn't answer the questions, and that's a big one. Like maybe the patient wants a cleaning, but they're saying, no, you have to go see the doctor first. We have to get you in. And then some of that verbiage is just insane. It's so bad. I'm working on a project right now from actual calls and putting together some verbal skills. That's what I do. I train people, right?
Of course.
Train front office. So I like to get the raw data and then come up with those workable verbal skills, because there is a reason that people, and in your own life, in business, what you're thinking about doing business with somebody and you call them and something can turn you off. And so that's what happens. Because like I say, we in the dental office, no practice has patients lined up waiting to give in the chair. It's not a Taylor Swift concert. And I've been using Taylor Swift's name even before it was the cool concert. Okay.
I mean, you're absolutely right. And Michael, I don't know if you want to fill in, but the person that's picking up the phone,
Everything.
yeah, it's all like dependent on them to convert that person. Just like you said, if it's someone that's verifying insurance, dealing with the angry patient, dealing with 20 issues, she's not going to give that person the attention they need to connect, like you said, to pick up, to actually come into their appointment. Just like if a dentist calls me and says, can I get some info? And I say, let me book you, for next week, versus how can I help you? What's your current situation? And then get the booking, that's going to make him show up much higher than the person that I just said, I'm just booking, and, didn't give him that value to actually come in and have that conversation. Same with any business. A word that no one likes in this industry is like a salesperson. Like, that person is a salesperson for your business. You're selling your service. You need salespeople, just like our business needs salespeople. A dentist, you don't have to call them salespeople. You guys are helping people. You're changing lives by helping treat their teeth. But essentially, you're trying to sell your service. You're trying to get more people to buy your services. So you need salespeople. And, you could just kind of look at them in that sense. Are my salespeople the type of person that could close a sale?
That's right. It's everything. And so basically what we're saying here is your marketing dollars are being wasted if you aren't taking care of your phone, right? That's what we're saying.
Yeah. So when it comes to the measuring and then when it comes to the tracking the results, Ali, how often should we be communicating with you when it comes to like, hey, how are our numbers looking? And at the same time, have you seen this to be the case with numbers are coming in or new patients are coming in? They're just like, hey, yeah, it's coming in. Should we still track that even though how many they're coming in, even though we're satisfied, or how does that look?
Even if you're satisfied, you should take a look that you could always do better. For example, you may be satisfied with the new patient info, but you may not have Invisalign leads. So we could always shift the marketing and attract more types of patients you want. But to your point, once a month is just a good check-in. Just how are things going? If the leads are good and consistent, you don't necessarily have to always communicate with your marketing company if you see they're doing a good job. Let's say you're spending, I don't know, an average of $500 per month on marketing, right? That's $6,000 a year. If that $6,000 a year is not generating more than $6,000 worth of business for you, then, that should be taken care of in month 1, 2, 3 versus
Right. That's
letting it get to like a year or two. And then you're saying, what am I paying for? I'm unhappy. And then you have a bad taste in marketing in your mouth. And, that company felt like they didn't get feedback. And, just all around communication is key.
And you know what? You make a good point there. And I just want to interject something. I think communicating with you guys once a month is a great point that you made. But what about for doctors listening? How often should you be checking with your front office team? Okay. I think that should be a couple of times a week. that you're
I mean,
checking,
if I was the dentist, I would do it daily, every day.
making
trying-
sure that's
Yeah.
right, that they are actually keeping track.
Yeah, I would just leave and say, how was our lead flow today? Where did they say they're calling from? Are they from
It can be
Google?
part of the huddle. It could be part of the morning
Exactly.
huddle.
You have to be part of the huddle, or else if you kind of let them do it without looking at it, not that they can't do it and many teams can handle it, but when you step in and kind of look at it from an outside perspective as the owner, you're going to have different feedback than the team members might have. You know, the value that you might care for those number of leads might be different. So if you get everyone within that same culture and everyone's happy and everyone's incentivized or bonus or whatever it is internally that helps the whole team get more reviews, get people not to not no show, it all works well.
I agree 100%. And also, things get dropped out. Okay, easily they get dropped out, even when team members have the best intentions. So by asking about it on a regular basis, that's that accountability that's built in.
I mean, even myself with my partners yesterday, we were just saying like, we're not sticking to our monthly meetings. And, you know, once we let it go, all of a sudden 4 months goes by, you didn't have any meetings. And like, there's so many little things that you just talked about them, they could improve. And it usually comes from just a quick conversation. It never comes from like long, crazy meetings that no one wants to go. So just a quick huddle, like you said, how are things going? Hey, I have this idea. A team member might say we're getting emergency calls. Maybe you guys do like a same day appointment feature or something based off that discussion.
Gotcha. That's interesting. Yeah. That's really good. So then how do we do this, Ali? How do we communicate with you or with the team? Like what key questions should we ask so we can make it, you know, the most optimal in the shortest amount of time? Because I'm sure you've gotten like, hey, we're not getting new patients. What's up? Right. And then, so then where do we go from there?
Sure. So let's say someone calls us right now, they're doing marketing for 5-6 months and they're like, I don't feel I'm getting patients or I don't see anything. Okay, we said, okay, first let's go look at your analytics and look at all the data that sometimes isn't really correlating to the end result. Let's say you're on page 1, position 1, you have 100 visits. We've had that. Someone's, you know, ranking well, they have good visits, but they're just saying my appointment book is empty. So then it comes to like, let's look at this site. Maybe you don't have enough reviews. Maybe your competition is doing X, Y, Z. So we could look at the neighborhood together and see and compare. Maybe there's a lot of offers or a lot of incentives that other dentists are doing that you're not doing. So that will give us an idea. 2 is what keywords are people finding you by? Maybe you're getting found for emergency veneers very well, but you say, hey, I'm not getting found for dentists near me and the general stuff. So we shift the marketing strategy to target those keywords. And then we go look at the web leads. I would say 90% of the time when someone calls and says, I'm not getting good leads, and we get to the place where, okay, let's go check the forms on the website. And we say, what happened to Jane? July 2, July 5, July 6. We see all these leads. I have a toothache. I'm a new patient, this, that. They can't answer where these people are, what happened to them, who spoke to these people. And then we just end the call like that. And then they go back to their office and try to fix those internal systems. And when we have this call in another 3 months, he could answer 10 of my calls came from Google, 3 of them closed, 2 of them came from ads. And he has a much better idea because once they actually see the names and the leads, and I often say, put the doctor on the lead too. I know you're busy. I know you don't want to get more emails, but you want to see how many leads your business is getting every day or every week. So get on those emails and ask your front desk, hey, John Smith contacted us about a toothache. Did anyone talk to him today? If they don't contact him the same day, that guy's gone. He's gone to the other 10 dentists. You got to get them right away, connect with them. Like you said, if their contact form says, I have a toothache, my molar, then that person says, oh, I heard you have a toothache. You know, we fixed the molar. Whatever it is, you got to actually read the comments and connect with them when you get them on the phone, not just, hey, we got a call from you. When do you want to come in? They're never going to come in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And I like that. I think that's where you guys play a crucial role, DocSites, is on the tracking part, right? Not only on getting the new patients, but you're able to track how they found you, like where they found you in the huge world of the internet, where they found you, what keywords they used to land on your page. And then you can kind of like double down on that and then what company do you work for, insurance, all that stuff. And it helps allocate the marketing budget, right?
Exactly. So, for example, we had someone from your group come to us from another marketing company. She gave us a report she shared. She was spending $900 on Facebook ads. That $900 generated 15 calls, Facebook click-to calls. Her office manager was on the phone as well. We said, in this month, did you notice any calls? She didn't even notice, like, she didn't even attribute 1 or 2 calls to Facebook. So it's sometimes, the data in Facebook or Google or analytics or the ads say you got 500 calls or clicks. But at the end of the day, if someone in the office isn't verifying that, Facebook numbers, Facebook, every time you log in, their stuff changes. You can't log in here. Their analytics are different. Their pixels doesn't work. So you can't always count on just like us saying you got 100 visits or 20 leads. What happened to those 20 leads? What actually happened to these people? That has to come from the inside. We'll gladly tell you, you got X amount of visits for these keywords and these leads and 5 click-to calls, etc. But I don't know if any of those became patients and you're making your money back.
Gotcha. So that's the key. I mean, there's many, many things that I think DocSites can do, right? But that's one of the main things of how we can kind of hone it, sharpen it, and then boom.
I think what people, the audience should look for is if your marketing company is like scared to talk to you or is avoiding talking to you or like wants to just go 6 months and hide so that monthly payment continues, that's not a good sign. If you contact them, they should get back to you. If you want to talk about strategy, they should get back to you. If you want to say, how is my campaign doing? They should get back to you. It shouldn't be like, let me just send you because a lot of companies send fancy reports. The doctors look at them, they might look good, and they say, okay, looks like it's working, close it and never look back. Versus look at the reports, but then check with your office. Tell me John, Joe, and Jane actually became patients and we're tracking it this well. And yes, your leads, we keep in an Excel sheet every month. We go in there, we say who came in. It's all like, some people do it by Excel, like you're saying. Everyone does it a little differently. Maybe, you teach them the right way to manage these leads once they get them.
I think it's great to create a document. Yeah.
Another thing real quick that oftentimes is missed is the doctors in the offices, they finally put the piece in place where they have someone that could follow up and, call this person and the lead right away. And that's great. But then the miss becomes the follow-up because you're not always going to get them on that first call or the first email. They're not going to get back to you. So when you come into the office tomorrow, look at yesterday's leads that never got back to you and touch base again. And, have a system, whatever you think is appropriate. If 3 times a week is too much for you to contact someone, then, that's an internal decision.
I have a question, and the listeners may wonder this. When you say leads, explain that to people.
Yes. And when I say leads, a lead is a phone call, a web form being filled out, a contact form, an appointment form, a text us form, a chat on a website, anything that's a contact, inbound lead that comes into your office from your efforts, whether it's the marketing, the referral, the word of mouth, which you should know, which is why you're saying ask where they came from. So all those are leads. A close is when that lead gets in the chain, you make money off of them, right? That's when they're closed. So how many leads do you get a month? How many of those leads close? And how much money do you make per those closes? And is that money more than what you're putting into your marketing?
And the attempts to follow up. I love that, what you're saying, because it's so important.
Just us, like we have to talk to a dentist on average 7 times before they work with us. Create trust, establish, the education, get them over there, maybe horror stories of SEO in the past and, create that relationship. It shouldn't take that long with the patient, but it's the same effort. It's like, if you call them once and they don't pick up, you have to call them again. If you email them and they don't get back to you, someone has to say what happened. And let's say a month goes by and 20 people never got back to you. Those 20 patients should go on a recall, a newsletter, hey, are you still interested? A once a month, let me follow up with all my old leads, because we email our people from 3 years ago that we met at a show, and some of them actually end up signing up with us years after.
Yeah. Do you have sample emails like for follow up that people, some like verbiage that people can use?
Yeah, I could send anyone that reaches out free complimentary emails and just a sample follow up, method 1, method 2, method
I
3.
think that is that
Yeah.
something you give your clients?
If they ask for it, of course, we send it to many.
I think that's very good.
Yeah. And it's a script. And like basically, until they say stop, leave me alone, no, they're a lead, they're an
Mhm.
opportunity, they're a potential for business, right? So
Yeah.
that's how you have to look at it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Yeah, if you could, that'd be awesome. If the listeners reach out to you and they want some of those emails, could we?
Yeah, anytime. Complimentary web assessments to you guys, anytime, anyone, even if you're with another company and you just want to get some ideas, or maybe say, hey, Ollie, what are the 5 questions I should ask my current company? I'm still in contract for 11 months. Get the best out of those 11 months, because another thing we're hearing more and more is like companies locking people in or like hidden clauses to reuse them for 2 years. So also just make sure you're looking at your, whatever you're signing, whether it's marketing, Cone Beam, X-Ray, just look at the fine print or ask the questions. Am I locked in? Is there an auto renew clause? Is there penalties? I've even heard of people signing things that say you're not allowed to speak about this company or give them a review. You've seen that go around, right?
I just heard about that today. That's interesting. You mentioned that. Yeah,
I was reading something about that.
I just heard about that today. Yeah,
So,
interesting. Yeah.
the companies are putting clauses that like you can't even review them after you work with them, which is like, people don't like that. I wouldn't like that.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. So then, real quick, I wanted to know, when we're trying to get these metrics from a marketing company, what are the fancy numbers, like the vanity numbers that really don't matter that much?
I'll tell you the things that matter and some of the things that don't matter. So the things that matter is your overall traffic to your website. Let's say you're getting 500 visits, and then break down the sources into the 3 primary, like Google organic. If you're doing ads, you could track that separately, your Google ads. There's also Google My Business, which is the map. So you know how like when you search dentist, there's 3 results in the map, and then there's the organic and the ads are up top. So those are the 3 opportunities: the ads, the map, and the organic for a local practice or local business. You get to see the data on the map, how people are finding you, how many click to calls, what those keywords are. Your analytics will tell you the data for the website, how quick people are bouncing off. Let's say 100% of people are bouncing off in 3 seconds, then you know something's wrong with your website. Just look at the basics: how long people are spending on the site, where they're coming from, and then you get an idea. But even with that fancy data, let's say those numbers look beautiful, everything's organic, but if your phone's not ringing and you're not getting web leads, none of those numbers matter. So always try to match the 2, like the data, which is great, but the actual end dollar of the month. If I got X amount of visits, X amount of leads, how much did I make and how much did I put into my marketing to begin with? And is that showing an ROI? Sometimes it's not immediate. Sometimes, for example, we do a trade show. Our ROI doesn't come into it on average 11 months later. So we're negative for 11 months on a showing on average until they add up and the monthlies and the recurring and the sales come through that show. So similar to the dental practice, your first 3-4 months of your marketing may not generate that business for you. But if you look at it in a 1 year and really stay consistent with it, and don't just jump from company to company. I tried this guy for 2 months. I tried that guy for 3 months. You're never going to be happy. You got to get in at a dollar amount you're comfortable with. Don't pick the highest package thinking you're going to get all these leads tomorrow.
Mhm.
Pick the package you're comfortable with for 1 year and really give it time. Don't just rely on, this is another thing, like if you're spending $500 to $1,000 a month on marketing, don't just rely on that to change your business. You have to do the offline stuff. You have to do the internals, the word of mouth, the ground marketing. All that other stuff goes into it. No one's business is going to change for $500 a month. It's just, that's not how it works. If you're trying to make $1 million a year, you have to spend more than $500 a month for marketing. And that's just another way that some people look at it. Some people do ads. You could start in any which way you want. Just being proactive is the key, and consistency. And don't go beyond your means, expecting something that may not be there and then hating it, in 3 months and then jumping to another company, and they get stuck in a cycle like that. And oftentimes they're always coming from a negative place that this stuff's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So any final piece of advice that Ali, you want to give us for this episode?
No, just like you guys said, you guys have been doing this for a long time. Michael, you're ground marketing material. You have so many resources out there. Sandy, people like you in practices help take practices to another level. These things have to be in place to succeed. I had a doctor, a perio, call me yesterday. He's like, why is this guy doing so good? The guy was doing blog posts since 2010. For 13 years, he's been doing consistent marketing. And this guy just launched a website last month. And he's like, why is this guy beating me? You got to spend money. You got to be active. And you got to spend money smartly and check in on your money, just like how every business should do.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think listeners need to pay close attention to the following up on those leads, because I'm going to tell you, I don't see that happening a lot. I think they answer the phone, do the best they can, but the follow-up is missing.
Yeah, and a good way to do it, the most basic, easy way is an Excel sheet. Whoever answers those calls or leads just tracks them. Doctor checks them every week. What happened to these guys? There's going to be probably 50% of those people that never got back to you or never got your voicemail, or you have to keep trying with those people until they say, please stop, don't call me. I already saw another dentist. Thank you. But you know how it is. It's just, it's a constant effort. No one's going to come sit in your chair with no effort unless, you've got it that good. And most people don't.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Okay. Sandy, any final words or pieces of advice that you want to give before the episode?
I say pay close attention to those phones and follow up. That's the key.
Follow up, ask questions, talk to your marketing company, look at the dollars you're putting in and the dollars coming
And
out.
track the calls. Track the calls.
And the web leads. Sometimes they don't call. Sometimes they just fill out a form that says, toothache, I need help. My kids need a dentist, just moved into the area. These are prime opportunities for new patients.
Yeah.
And don't forget, every one of you listening can get a free assessment. Even if you already have an agency, a marketing company, or anything like that, if you want to know, hey, is it working? Is it not? What is it? What's happening? You get a free assessment with DocSites, no strings attached.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to just check it out.
Totally unbiased, coming from an outsider view. I'll look at it like your friend or your IT person, or, some people just have me call there. I'm here to help. We're not here to do hard sales. We're a resource for this community. We're not here to just make sales.
And if you guys love what you see, you also do get an exclusive deal with DocSites.
And you get a discount, and we have no contracts. It's month to month. You're not locked in. You could give us a shot if you like it. And if you don't, we'll help you transition to the next company really smoothly. There's no hostage situations here.
Nice. So guys, the information for DocSites is going to be on the first link in the show notes below. So make sure you go in the show notes below, click on that first link. And if you want to talk about this episode, come on the podcast or submit any questions, then you can do so by joining the Facebook group Dental Gumbo. So make sure you support the podcast. And Ali, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure. And guys, we'll talk to you in the next episode.
Thank you so much.